Hey everybody, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're doing the seasonal model roundup today. I promised last week that we'd have a look at all the seasonal models today. That's exactly what we're going to do. The final seasonal model roundup for the winter of 2012-2013, running through all of those long-range models to come to a conclusion about what those models are predicting for the British Isles for the winter of 2012-2013. Then next week we'll put the seasonal models all together with my roundup videos I've been doing through the course of the autumn, and with the NAO forecast I did back in June. Everything will be put together and I'll be coming up with a final winter forecast for 2012-2013 in the United Kingdom. Now, before we get on with the video, I want to talk about the advertising. There'll usually be a video ad overlaying my web videos at GavsWeatherVids.com. Please play those video ads. You will be supporting GavsWeatherVids.com if you do that. Also want to mention my shop, Gavs Shop. It is open for business for Christmas, so click on any of the Gavs Shop buttons that you see around the page. Is at GavsWeatherVids.com. You go through to the shop, have a browse through the items that I've listed, but you're not forced to just have those items. You have any item you want from Amazon.co.uk. Just click for any of the Amazon banners and you'll go through to Amazon, buy whatever you want for Christmas, and at the same time you'll be supporting GavsWeatherVids.com if you do that. So let's get rid of the camera and let's get on with the video. And well, we're going to start off with the UK Met Office. This is the ensemble mean anomaly from the long range model at the UK Met Office. This is for sea level pressure, so this is pressure down on the surface for December, January, February, so for the winter of 2012-2013. And quite interesting developments here have taken place from last month. Last month, the model was going for quite extensive blocking up to the north of British Isles, indicated by reds and orange colours. That's not the case so much this month. That blocking has been pushed southwards, so that now it's sitting more or less around the British Isles and around France, Bay of Biscay area as well. And it's replaced by below average heights here to the north of the country. Now remember, this is an anomaly for a 3-monthly period, so it doesn't mean that it'll be continuously like this. But if this is the anomaly for the winter, you'd expect this to be a nearer normal sort of weather pattern for the winter of 2012-2013, with the jet stream tending to run more or less over British Isles, sometimes to the north, probably sometime to the south, and low pressure up here also quite dominant. So this is certainly a much less block pattern than the UK Met Office was predicting. The model from the UK Met Office was predicting last month. So definitely the model has backed off in this month's update from the cold signal that we had going on in last month's update. Nevertheless, the temperature signal from the UK Met Office model is below normal. Not as below normal as it was being predicted to be last month, but still fairly below average, at least half a degree to 1 degree below average here for the British Isles. So generally quite a cold winter still being forecast by the model. It's just that the sea level pressure anomaly isn't as blocked really as was being forecast by the UK Met Office last month. And in terms of precipitation, well, we've got below average precipitation being forecast here to the west of the British Isles, hardly surprising because it's indicating big area of above average heights really to the west of the British Isles. Some above average precipitation being forecast here to the north. Again, this is signalling that we're getting low pressure developing to the north of the British Isles. So yes, we've definitely seen from the UK Met Office model that is backed off from that very block signal that it was going for last month. Now, interestingly, something very similar has happened with the Brazilian model. Now, the Brazilian model is slightly different to most of the seasonal models in that for the heights at least, above average heights are indicated blue and below average heights are indicated red and yellow. Now that's usually the other way around. With height anomaly charts, usually reds will be above average and blue will be below average. That's not the case on this model. So again, this is very similar. This 500 millibar height anomaly forecast for December, January, February is very similar to the UK Met Office sea level pressure signal, in that the model is forecasting above average heights here to the west and just to the southwest of the British Isles, below average heights here around Newfoundland. Now you'll remember that last month the model was actually predicting very extensive above average heights to the north and below average heights running in from the Atlantic to the south of the British Isles. That was again a very classic negative NAO sort of blocked type pattern, and for this month's update the model has backed away from that very blocked sort of signal that it was going for last month. So between the Brazilian model and the UK Met Office, both models appear to have backed away this month from that very blocked negative NAO, negative AO type signal that it was going for. Now, if you have a look at the temperature anomaly from the long-range Brazilian model, we can see that temperatures are forecast to be very much near normal here, and for precipitation as well, the forecast again is very much near normal around the British Isles. So no particular signal for temperature or precipitation, but these pressure anomalies are very interesting between the UK Met Office and the Brazilian. Definitely both models backing off from the extensive northern blocking that they were predicting last month. So that is quite a change really of the situation that we had in last month's update. Now the next chart I want to look at is the ECMWF model. I would love to show you all of the extensive charts and information that the ECMWF have at their disposal. I can't show you those charts information because they aren't made public. They aren't allowed to show them. They're not shared with the public. The ECMWF it doesn't like sharing their information, I'm afraid. So this is all I can show you. It's just a generic 3 monthly temperature anomaly from the Norwegian Met Institute. I have to go to, believe it or not, the Norwegian Met Institute to find this. It's just a 3 monthly temperature anomaly for December to February, and the model is going for a mild winter here across many parts of the country, very warm winter up over Scandinavia into western Russia, and we're around 0.5 degree to 1 degree above average. So a mild winter being predicted by the ECMWF long-range seasonal model here across the whole of Northern Europe. I would love to show you why it's predicting that, but I don't know myself because I haven't seen the information, and that's as much as I can show you. They don't like sharing. Next thing I want to look at is the seasonal model from Russia. We get more information from Russia and from China than we do from the ECMWF, so that just tells you something. So what the Russian model is predicting here for December, January, February, this is actually temperature probability. So it's not a generic temperature forecast, it's a probability, and the model is going for a colder than average winter here, very much colder than average across the whole of northern and central and northwestern Europe. So for Britain, Scandinavia, and down into Central Europe as well, the probability is for a colder than average winter, and actually the most probable most probable area to be colder than average is this area just to the southeast of British Isles and stretching in towards northern Germany. That is the peak of the cold probability. So yes, the model is definitely from Russia going for a colder than average probability for the winter. In terms of precipitation, the probability is for a drier than average winter. That's usually the case when it's colder than average. Usually it's colder than average because you get blocking areas of high pressure. That's exactly what we see here. Virtually all of the areas that are colder than average are also predicted to be drier than average. Again, remember this is probability over a 3 monthly period. It isn't a generic forecast from the Russian model, but it is a strong signal here, very strong signal for a dry and a cold winter for Britain and for much of Europe as well. The next model we're going on to is the Beijing Climate Center from China. These are 500 millibar height anomalies, and this is, unlike the Brazilian model, this is more what you'd expect, with blue colours indicating below average heights extrapolated to low pressure, orange and red colours indicating above average heights extrapolated to high pressure. And what the model is predicting is a very blocked winter here for much of Greenland, northern blocking very much in evidence there from Greenland stretching into Canada as well. This is a negative NAO. We've got a southerly tracking jet stream with a trough of low pressure from Newfoundland stretching into the Atlantic, stretching into the British Isles as well, and above average heights down to the south. So yes, this is very much a a negative NAO being predicted by the Beijing Climate Centre, with blocking to the north and the jet stream running in underneath that blocking through the course of the Atlantic. You expect this to be a colder than average winter. Actually, for the British Isles, it's the signal isn't particularly strong. We've got, as we always are really in Britain, we're between the warm Atlantic air here to the west and these blue areas here on the continent, indicating the cold air. And very often the models struggle to just place that boundary exactly right. So actually the model is going for very much a near normal sort of winter temperature anomaly here for British Isles, but the cold air is over much of the continent forecast to be colder than average. Really, with that 500 millibar height anomaly, it's a very strong signal that for a negative NAO, a colder than average winter pattern. So I would expect actually the temperatures to be colder than average for the British Isles with that 500 millibar height anomaly pattern. And for precipitation, well, again, perhaps a very slight signal for above average, but it's not strong. The signal isn't strong, but it's stronger through the central parts of Europe. And again, that is in association with that negative NAO running the jet stream in to the south of the blocking area of high pressure, which is positioned up to the north. So I think we can say that the Beijing Climate Centre, like the Russian model, is going for the kind of pattern that would deliver us a cooler or colder than average winter. So what we're seeing here, we're building up a picture, and the picture is a very mixed one indeed. Two models backing off, two models going for it. Very hard to say what's happening. Of course, the ECMWF, we can't extrapolate too much from that. That's going for a mild winter as well. Next chart we're looking at is the temperature forecast from the JAMSTEC IOD model. You remember JAMSTEC last month was going for a supremely cold winter across just about the whole of Central and Northern Europe. It's backed off from it this month. This month's update, it's now going for a milder than average winter across much of Scandinavia, stretching down into Denmark and Northern Germany. But for us in Britain, we're still actually hanging on to the cold temperature. So this is forecasting, again, like last month, a cold winter for much of the British Isles and down into France and some central parts of Europe as well. The signal is not as strong or as extreme as last month, but it's still there that we're going to have a colder than average winter. So again, JAMSTEC, just like the UK Met Office and just like the Brazilian long-range model, JAMSTEC has kind of backed off the idea of a very cold type winter pattern, but it is still going for a colder than average winter for Britain. And in terms of precipitation, it's going for a dry winter here, dry than average or near normal to dry than average for the British Isles. And notice the salmon pink colours again centred most strongly around Iceland. So again, model I think is going here for above average heights, above average pressure, high pressure around Iceland, stretching up towards Greenland, blocking area of high pressure. The difference from last month to this month is over Scandinavia, where last month we had a big blocking area of high pressure signalled by below average precipitation over Scandinavia. Now we've got above average precipitation being signalled across Scandinavia. So big changes have taken place in this model around Scandinavia, and it's affected the temperature forecast. Now Scandinavia forecasts have above average temperatures, whereas last month it was much colder than average. But Britain still hangs on to that colder than average signal, but not as strong. The final model we're looking at for this update is the CFS version 2 model. Remember, CFS version 1 has been pensioned off, so now we're just using CFS version 2, and I wonder how long it's going to be before this becomes just plain old CFS. They'll drop the version 2 because they really don't need it, but anyway, it's still CFS version 2, and this is 700 millibar height anomaly. It's very similar to a 500 millibar height idea, and the model is going for area of below average heights here across the British Isles and much of northwestern Europe as well. This above average area of heights down to the southwest is probably a displaced Azores high, and that is pushed a little bit further away than you would normally expect in a typical zonal winter. So with this trough here and very little in way of heights to the south, we're probably looking at the North Atlantic Oscillation to be very much near normal, or maybe slightly on the negative side of this. And notice the model is also predicting some above average heights to the north, but again probably signals some sort of blocking going on to the north of over the polar field actually. So really the signal with this is quite weak, but probably if anything it's on the side of the negative NAO Arctic Oscillation, North Atlantic Oscillation type pattern, which could be on the chilly side for the British Isles. Now if we have a look at the temperature forecast for December, January, February for the winter, we can see that just about the whole of Europe here is forecast to have near normal temperatures. Now that, in my opinion, is because the model hasn't got a grasp on the temperatures that would happen from its pressure distribution. I think, I'm afraid, CFS has taken a bit of a step backwards with the version 2 model because the temperature signals are just not as strong as they were on the version 1 model. But nevertheless, it's going for near normal temperatures here for the whole of Europe, but I really can't believe it. I have a job to believe it. But actually, quite interestingly, it's over Greenland. We're forecast to be well above average with the temperatures. So that probably is in conjunction, and up here to the north of Scandinavia, that's into the North Pole. Those areas above average, that probably is in conjunction with those above average heights to the north. For precipitation, again, this is quite interesting. We've got a signal still, as we've had very much of the autumn, for above average heights here around Norway and a little bit around Iceland as well. And for below average, this is precipitation, I should say, above average precipitation for Norway and for Iceland as well. Above average precipitation though through France and stretching into central parts of Europe. So this probably, if you put it all together from CFS, it's a very weak signal. The model, this is how CFS version 2 is, very weak signals, but if you put it all together, I think the model is probably going for blocking to the north and the jet stream to be tracking more southward than usual. So putting it all together, I think the CFS version 2 model is just about going for a colder than average winter. Or that would be my interpretation of the signals. But again, the signals are very, very weak from the CFS version 2 model. So that's it. It's a mixed picture, really. Very disappointing, really, this update, because it's hard to really decipher much from it. The UK Met Office, the Brazilian models have backed off from the signal last month for the blocking to the north. ECMWF going for a warm winter, but we can't read much into it because we don't get enough information. JAMSTEC backed off from the very severely cold winter it was forecasting, but it's still just about colder than average for Britain. ECMWF, CFS, probably favouring a cooler than average winter, but it's hard to decipher much from that. The strongest signal probably comes from the Russia model and the Beijing Climate Centre. Those two models, I think, definitely are in the cold winter camp. If you extrapolate what they're predicting, certainly from the Beijing Climate Centre, negative NAO, very strongly signal there. The Russian model definitely going for a colder average winter, but it's hard to decipher much from these seasonal models, to be honest. Now, normally with my seasonal forecast, this would be the end of the story, and I'll have to come up with a final outcome based on these models, and goodness knows what I'll go for with this mixed picture. But fortunately, I can put it off till next week because I've got to put these seasonal models, which are giving us a mixed picture, perhaps just very, very slightly favouring colder than average, but a mixed picture really from the seasonal models. But I've got to put them together now with the roundup videos and with the NAO forecast from June. It's all going together, and next week, the Sunday, the 2nd of December, at gavsweathervids.com, I am going to predict the winter of 2012-2013 for the United Kingdom. So do please come back for it next week. It's going to be a very exciting day, but that's it for now. Thanks for watching.